Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That escalated quickly.
That went weird.
Do you feel a bit...
Hi, boys! Play the music! G'day and welcome once again to Stacks Podcast. It's been a long time since we appeared on a YouTube channel, but look, Stacks 36, I thought it was about time, and I couldn't get a better looking rooster than the man I have sitting beside me, Mr. Travis Brinnand. How are you, brother?
I'm very, very good, Jai. I would have shaved. I would have shaved had I known that I was going to be videoed today, but I guess I'm just going to have to look a little bit shaggy.
Mate, I'm in the same boat. I'm always shaggy. I don't like shaving. There's something about it. I just never like... I'll tell you what, and it's this bit.
That bit? What?
That bit's never been shaved since I did it once when I was about 19 years old. And I spent a week... Oh, you probably can't see it on camera, but I was doing those ones.
I'm getting the
doing
tactile feel on the lip.
I couldn't stop, couldn't stop doing it, so I said to myself, I've trimmed it, but I've had to leave that part soft, and the rest of me is like a bloody wire brush, but this is soft as a baby's soft as a baby's beard.
Soft as a baby's beard. That would be one masculine baby, I would assume. Testosterone coming out the fucking wazoo on that one.
What's going on with that baby? TRT, bro. Well, what's been happening? You're hanging around up our way. Decided to drop on into...
yeah, man.
I call it the dojo after we done a little film yesterday. A bit of martial arts in here. And we're doing self-defense with musical weapons.
Self-defense with musical weapons.
Yeah.
What's the go-to weapon? I would imagine you could, if you tied a couple of ukuleles together, they'd be a pretty mean nunchucks.
It would, yeah, uke chucks.
Uke chucks.
Yeah, a couple of uke chucks coming at you.
I'd like that, yeah. But what have I been doing? I've been doing, I guess, collectively, a whole lot of something and a whole lot of nothing. A lot of the work I'm finding myself engaged in these days is a lot of internal work in terms of things to do with, I guess, my inner... I hate using the term spiritual work, but it is that, because... And the reason I hate the term spiritual is because people these days think spiritual to be this very airy-fairy bullshit kind of, use this, and it's all love and light and compassion. Whereas no, your real fucking work really comes down to when you go deeply inside and start uprooting all of the traumas and all of the shit that you've been going through and really dealing with that, because I find that most people these days just don't know how to connect deeply and be present with themselves. Hence why we're in a society where, there is so much drug use, there is so much alcohol use, because we need escapism.
You don't fuck about. You got straight to it, didn't you? Real quick.
Mate, yeah, sorry. It went deep down the hole.
But in saying that too, I think we just had a mental health week. And look, mental health is something that it's on everyone's radar these days. Remember years ago, blokes just didn't talk about it. You don't talk about it. And if you had mental health problems, you belonged somewhere. It wasn't the fact that you had, an issue or something, or you're struggling with something. It was all mental health. Now, the reason I say mental health, because I'm getting back to the inner stuff that you're saying, I find people that do find within themselves an inner peace and tranquility, or, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we can sit there and say it's like airy-fairy bullshit, but it's what brings a lot of people happiness. And how can you ever complain or argue or say anything about that,
I guess, it brings people happiness as long as the happiness isn't a distraction. I feel that, and not to say that it's okay, at the end of the day, I think everything needs to be done with a state of joy. Whatever you do in life, do it in a way that's loving and caring, and I think that's inevitably going to approach it holistically. And I would never tell someone to not drink or not do drugs, but I'd say to be first and foremost just honest with yourself and your intentions behind why you're doing it. Are you doing this thing because you're afraid and you can't cope and you're trying to escape something? Or are you doing this because genuinely, internally, this is bringing you joy?
Would you say that? I mean, I've known you. I wouldn't say super well, but we've said g'day and we've crossed paths.
Yeah.
What most people know, this is a music podcast per se. We do talk about a bit of our music, but I mean, it's the fact that we are musicians and we are in this sort of isolated scene in Perth that brings us together on the podcast. And we've said g'day and, had a yarn over the years and, shared a couple of the stage a few times and all that kind of stuff. And you've always come across as somebody who seems like very happy. You're very flamboyant. You're very sort of
exceptionally camp.
And you've always been that sort of guy that I've always said. I think you. Well, I used to watch you in your previous band, and I love watching you. I mean, without you, I suppose the band would be fine. But you just added. You got to be a showman, and you've always come across like that. So would I be right to assume that you're always happy and to be like that?
Look, there's, I guess, when it comes to, I say when I'm on stage, I feel like as a front man in a band, I'm an emotional conductor. And because of the law of transference that occurs between human beings, if I sit here and be a sad cunt and go, oh, my life's really shit and I'm depressed, eventually you're going to be like, fuck, I'm going to get away from this guy, he's dragging me down. Or I can be like, man, life's fucking cool, I'm really enjoying myself. And if that's authentic and truthful, that's going to actually transfer across, and then you're going to feel that too. And that's why, as a frontman in a band, it's important to be that kind of emotional conductor, I feel, of the room. But in terms of in my life, am I always happy? I would say the more I'm doing my inner work, the more I'm always in a state of peace and joy, and I'm finding it's the small things in life that bring me such joy. Like I mentioned, it was my birthday yesterday, and I was at Lucy's Love Shack seeing a couple of bands, but I was also there with my friend Lucy, and at the very end of the night, there was her and I, and we were dancing on the dance floor, and there was just something magical. It was just something so subtle, but there was this energy that was flowing between us, and she'd even run up and jump and like wrap her legs around my hip and like fall back, and there was this trust and this freedom that was kind of moving between us that I think only comes about when you've really gone inside and you've started going, oh, why am I feeling this way? Why am I anxious? Like, for instance, with the work that I do, which I think is a lot to do with emotional releasing, connecting with and healing with past traumas internally that I've either consciously or unconsciously taken on, I've allowed myself to be and to feel constantly more natural and to be able to respond appropriately to every situation. But that doesn't mean that, I'm happy all the time, I guess.
Yeah.
Very long way around. I have times where I remember in doing this emotional release work, because I've been doing it for about just over a year now. I remember one time when I was at my prior job, I'd connected with some anger inside me. Now, when you're kind of doing this emotional release work, the idea is to not let your mind start attaching itself to things, because if I'm angry right now, if I've got the emotion of anger, I can you could say something and I'll be like, a fucking jai, or I could there could be a sound and something will piss me off because my mind wants to justify the anger. My mind needs to justify the anger instead of sitting, being present with the anger. Now, when I did this at my job, I remember I was sitting behind this computer in my office at my prior job, and for 6 hours I felt this burning, intense anger that was just sitting in me, but it was almost beautiful. It's so weird to say, because I wasn't allowing my mind to attach itself to anything. I was there present with it, holding it, caring and being compassionate towards it, and eventually alleviated. And the lightness that comes after that is beautiful, and that's why I continue to do this work that I do personally myself, and I've started doing it for others as well.
So in a nutshell, is it self-analysis? And then from the analysis, is it then like you're administering, what you need to get a result? So the self-awareness is impeccable if that's the case. I mean,
it's self-awareness, but it's also presence, and it's building a conversation, a dialogue between you and your body.
Yep.
Because the mind is constantly running around trying to fix everything or control everything, and I kind of look at it, the relationship between mind and body, as almost like you could look at it. Sometimes I use this analogy as with a friend or a brother or a sister who comes with you everywhere. But the thing is, this brother and sister, or if this brother, let's say, if it's the body, it doesn't want to do a lot of things. You're like, oh, I want to go out and get drunk tonight, and the body's like, no, I don't want this, and you're like, shut up, if I don't want to miss out because all my friends are doing this, come on, we're doing it, and it just kind of sits, and it goes, no, and it's the same with drugs, and one of the things I'm still trying to give up at the moment is smoking. I haven't yet gotten that out of my life, John. It's still my one little.
So you've got it sounds like you've really got a handle on some shit. You're starting to. Look, I'm an older bloke now. I'm sort of, as I said, I'm swinging towards 50, and I know when I was 20, I thought I knew a lot. When I was 30, I realised that I knew nothing at 20. When I hit 40, I realised that, wow, I can only honestly now start to pretend I know myself at 40. And then as I glide towards 50, I start looking at the other side, and I think, well, I've only got X amount of time left. How can I utilise this better, knowing what I know now? So you go through these transitions, and I guess I call them awakenings. And some people, especially in men go through it, and they tend to have these awakenings. And I had a good friend, Tony, that had a very spiritual awakening, and went in and discovered Reiki, and spent some time in Tibet and a few other countries, and really got right into Buddhism and everything that becomes shamanistic and all that kind of stuff. Went a little bit, he got drunk on it.
Yeah,
if you know what I'm saying,
that's possible.
And people do it. They do it. I think the vegan guy's never got over turning vegan. I think he's got to pull it back a bit, but he did for a while, and he got to the point where I was saying, Tony, just pull back, mate. But it sounds to me like that you've got the awareness. You can step outside yourself, which is great. Well, so smoking,
yeah.
What is it? That boils then to me down to the pure addictive qualities of what it is.
It is, and there's also an almost because I'm a full-blown wanker. I smoke vanilla cigarellos, these little tiny things, but they're very meditative.
And they, if you smoke them, you should surely be sort of entering every sentence with, I smoke full-blown cigarellos.
Yeah, I'm a full-blown...
I smoke full-blown cigarellos, see?
I smoke those delightful vanilla cigarellos. Man, it's a treat. But in terms of that relationship between body and mind, if I sit there presently in myself while I smoke this, every part of my body is freaking out. My heart rate increases. I feel in my throat and lungs, my throat and lungs aren't enjoying it. The circulation in my hands and feet tends to retract and go back into the body. My body, as its own entity, doesn't like it, but my compulsive nature, and I like to have horribly, my housemate brought home one of those fucking $800 DeLonghi coffee machines for Christmas. So, having a coffee and a cigar in the morning, or it's also an excuse to go outside. I can be very much just in my house where nothing happens unless you interact with it,
That's the first time I've ever heard that. I really enjoy smoking because it gives me an excuse to go outside. But it's it's probably because you associate that with it.
Yeah.
And if you separated that and then started cutting away associations.
It's getting, and the clarity is coming in there, and that's why, even with my, as I was saying before, I was a die-in-the-wool stoner for 9 years, and I have drunk alcohol most of my life, but I guess it was the start of May when that fell by the wayside. But it all came through clarity. Like, none of this has been... I'm very, like, adverse to doing things... And it sounds so weird, but that require a huge, like, exercising of my will.
Yep.
Like, if I've got to be like... If I, like, I still go out every weekend. I'm still on, like, the craziest one out with my mates. I'm still the one on the dance floor, like doing my flamboyant shit because I love it. It's me, but everyone's like, "Oh, you're so look at you. You like I love the way that's like it's so brave of you that you're not drinking." I'm like, I'm not sitting here going, "Oh fuck, I really like a drink." Like, and in the past 8 months, there are times when I'm like, do I want to drink right now? And my body, listening to my body's like, I get that like. That vomity feeling when you've had a big night on the fucking piss, I
know that feeling.
Oh, we all know that feeling all too well. I've enjoyed it. Like, that's why I would never tell no one not to do it.
I mean, the thing, did you ever have like, okay, let's talk about the drinking for a minute, because it's something, if there's anything with me where a lot of people think, I've got my shit together, but the one thing I don't have when it comes to having that shit together is I don't drink during the week. I don't drink sometimes for 3 months straight. But then I'll go out and I'll get shit-faced. And when I'm shit-faced, I always do something I regret the next day. Because I'm a big unit. I put a lot away. And then it's like you're locking it in the vault, and whatever happens from there on, it's like taking a pinger. You don't know how strong it is, but it's down the hatch. Yeah. So it's like where the fuck is this taking me? Because like with me, I'll drink for 2 hours straight and throw back heaps, but it isn't until 3.5 hours in, when sometimes I've stopped drinking, is when the shit's starting to kick in, and it does, and then by then you just got to ride it out, which means do some stupid shit. And I'm bad for that. And all my life, the stories I hear about things I've done, and because I can't remember because you're fucked up. And so for me, I guess it's good hearing this, because it'll help me sort of like maybe look at maybe giving it away, and I'm hearing the positives about giving the drinking away. And then for me, it's kind of, because everyone does it socially and you're part of the team. I guess it's just like smoking, anything else. And everyone goes, it's peer pressure. I don't do what any other motherfucker tells me to do. I'm very individual. I do it because I want to do it, but I now need to tell myself not to want that, so.
And yeah, we'll see. Well, back when I was drinking, I constantly was getting myself and friends kicked out of bars, not for doing anything stupid, but for passing the fuck out. Because it would get to a point in the night, everyone's like, because
where's Trav?
Yeah, I'd be drinking. Everyone's like, I'm a little bit merry, but that was about it. And then like, it would hit, and I would just like, boom, blackout.
Yep.
And it's like I'm just like, just down. I'm pretty sure there was one time at Joe's Juice Joint where it took 2 of the bouncers and one of the bar guys to pick me up and take me outside. Mind you, this was just before I guess was a couple of months before I gave up drinking. Mind you, as they'd done this, they didn't know that I think in the last half an hour I'd just been given a massive handful of Dexies, to which I'd taken a big mouthful of. I don't know how many fucking Dexies I have. So I'm outside like passed out, and then the Dexies kick in, and I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on? Hey guys, can I come back in? And they're like, you were just fucking passed out, mate. What the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm good now. Like, can we keep going? So
that's where you got to come up with something. It's like, dude, I suffer from a thing called narcolepsy. Look, I'm fine. And then they go, yeah, but you passed out. I said, you can't not let me in because I have a medical condition.
That's that. That would be good.
And, but then a smart bouncer would turn around and go, oh, well, you showed us your license coming through the door. Yeah. If you suffer from narcolepsy, mate, you can't have a license.
No, well.
Gotcha.
Damn.
Gotcha.
Done there. But in looking back on, I guess, my reasons for giving it away, and why I don't feel the need for it anymore.
Just to interject, was there one moment that you said, right, that's it? I've got to kick this thing, you know?
It wasn't. No, it's. I'm the kind of. I like clarity. To me, clarity means that if I'm crossing the road and I turn my head and I see a bus coming, I don't step out on the road. You know, that's dumb. Or even I like this confidence versus clarity kind of thing as well, because confidence means if you turn out all the lights in this room and you're like, all right, Trav, go over there and get that. I need confidence to kind of get across the room and think that I'm not going to like bump into anything. Whereas clarity is when the light's on and I know exactly where I'm going. It's like cool. And I've burnt myself, I guess, enough with alcohol and seeing how I was... things became more important to me, I guess, would be it. It wasn't... I don't know if it was a moment of clarity as much as looking back, I see that I wanted to, really more than anything else, I wanted to connect with people.
Yep.
Being brutally honest, I wanted to connect with women, and I wanted to pick up women and take women home. And
has that been the case since? Have you found it?
I've found...
I mean, a lot of guys do, and we all know that you go out and drink because it feels like you
got a bit of Dutch courage.
Yeah, you get that confidence. So you go, hey, where you going?
Yeah. Well, no, since... And one of the things before giving up drinking I realised is I'd never taken a woman to bed for the first time without at least, like, the two of us being at least a couple of beers in.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, that's... What?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's ridiculous. And... so what this required of me is to really, in terms of my own, in terms of me as a person, I needed to man the fuck up. If I can't walk over, if I'm so fearful that I can't walk over to a beautiful woman that I'm attracted to, why? And the questions kept coming up in me is, why can't I do this? What do I need to do? Why am I afraid of this? Like, why is it that I'm not connected to myself? Is it that I have a fear of being invalidated by this woman?
What about fear of rejection?
Fear of rejection's a big one too. But then now in my life, I realized that this realization came upon me recently that no one can reject me except me. I'm the only one who can really reject me. And that means that oftentimes, if I walk up to a stranger or whatnot, and they might not be into my energy, and what I'm putting down at that time, that's fine. That doesn't invalidate me, though. That just means that for whatever reason, one or another, we're running on different frequencies at that time. That's fine. That doesn't mean that they're a bad person, or that I'm a bad person, or that I'm not worthy of love, or that they're not worthy of love.
Do you ever think that sometimes, I mean, every girl's different, and girls, I think these days, and have done for a long time, have put up defensive mechanisms, especially when they meet somebody for the first time. It takes someone, I think, who's super intelligent and very, very aware of themselves as well to be able to pull down those barriers and to just feel comfortable in just having that conversation. You know, like it's very hard to have that conversation with somebody you don't know because they think, right, what does he want?
Yeah.
Okay. And if the attitude is, well, he just wants to fuck me, then every time you say something, it's going to be interpreted with that prejudice.
This is where congruency and authenticity have become so important to me, because one of the other parts of doing my work, I guess, is I've really gotten into kind of tantra and those kind of, like, I guess, the sexual side of the spiritual practices. And congruency and authenticity is paramount in this, because when I walk up to a woman, especially if I'm attracted to her, if I'm feeling that attraction, I want her to know that I want to take you to bed at some point. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be a gentleman and enjoy the act and art of seduction, because seduction in and of itself is a beautiful thing, and people it's looked at it like, especially in like pickup artistry and stuff, it's a bit fake, but the art of seduction, I find, is a gift. And this is because there's nothing in life, like, look at, we're sitting in your studio.
There's silk. Oh, that's so much better. I'm using the microphone right. There's silk paintings in Japan from the 1400s of exactly that art, the art of seduction and protocol, what men had to go through in order to even approach a woman. And chivalry was one of those things back in the early days, and all that kind of stuff. Now, we don't have that these days because things have obviously changed. Women have a lot more independence than what was around in those times, and I guess the way it is now. So therefore, the approach and all that will be different. I just wonder when it's going to be the case of girls clubbing a guy over the head and dragging him into the cave. But I mean, so we've come a long way, like in that, and unfortunately, that whole, once again, it's completely misinterpreted as he just wants to, he just wants the one thing. And those barriers, I've had it. I'm very genuine when I used to be the nice guy too that would never disrespect a girl or do all that kind of stuff. I never really slept around much and did this and that. Probably because I couldn't, because I looked like a fucking hat full of chisels. But, it was always something that I'd try and do the right thing. But I knew, just because I can analyse things as well, that these barriers, everything I said, it was like, I could tell that there's been 30 guys tonight spoken to you before I've come up and said g'day, and you're up to here with the bullshit, and what have you got? So it takes away the genuine people like yourself that, I mean, you're an interesting guy. You're not the norm. You're a very multi-leveled, deep person, and just talking to you for the 15 minutes here, 20 minutes that we've been chatting, I'm seeing a side of you which I have never seen before, and I'm seeing a really, what I think is a guy going through a whole heap of discoveries, self-discoveries, and
definitely.
And I think you've reached that age where you start to look at yourself for what you are, and yeah, I think it's going to be a hard road as far as being that genuine guy, because the world's just not ready for it. That's, and the time you do meet someone, well, then, you'll get that. And you do get those girls that are very switched on and understand that.
And it's not like... And, let's put it this way. The more, I guess, congruent and authentic I'm being, the more that I'm attracting the right women for me. And I'm, at the moment, I guess, because I've always been a monogamous guy. Mind you, up until February last year, I had been 7 years without actually being in a relationship or even having sex with a woman. I maybe had some drunk makeouts, but that was it. I went 7 years without having sex, and I kind of... That's when... if you want to talk about a time when...
That's amazing, because you're a good-looking rooster.
Oh,
You're
stop it, Jai. Should we start getting naked already?
Well, you look really good sitting beside this bloke, but... no, but in saying that, you're a handsome, you're an attractive guy, you're well-spoken. Why... That surprises me, one, because the amount of time I talk to girls, and I talk to girls these days, you just try and find a decent bloke out there, and they'll go, they're out there. Trust me, they're out there. But you keep looking at the guy that's out there that ticks all these stereotypical boxes,
And look, if you look at things...
How'd you go through 7 years,
7 years of... This is why the emotional release stuff has been so important to me, because I put myself in a box because every woman I'd ever been in any kind of relationship with had cheated on me. Now, why was that?
Ooh.
I'll tell you why. Because I had the subconscious programming because my mother cheated on my father.
I think women are more
are
likely to cheat on blokes tenfold.
I think, look...
Girls, there you go. Cop that.
Oh,
that's what I think.
It's funny. Well, look...
That's what I think. I think I'm right.
And I think, look...
Surely there's a statistic out there.
And look, I would say in certain instances it's true, but at the end of the day, I think we as human we in this current form, and I do this is I guess where my spiritual part of me is going to come out. We are creators, and we are creating our reality, like through the energy that we're holding. And I've noticed this difference. So the big thing that cracked for me is I took this Dutch girl out on from a Tinder date, and she was very openly sexual, like, and she was like, yeah, if I like a person, I'll fuck them, like, whatever. And I was like, to me, I was like, whoa, okay, this is like this young Dutch girl.
That's very normal.
Yeah.
For
the Europeans.
For
and
European
the
and Dutch women, yeah.
I was like, oh, and to the point where the second time I had a dinner party and I invited her around. We're chatting at the end of the night, and then I kind of go in for the kiss, and she's like leans back, she's like, oh, look, I'm kind of seeing someone. And I was like, oh, mind you, she was doing the consummate female thing of not lying to me as much as caring about my feelings and going, oh, no, I don't want to reject you. I just want, like, I'm seeing someone. And I, like, that's when it all kind of, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? What am I doing that's wrong here? And that's when I was like,
nothing.
There's something that, no, I was.
Nah, well,
I was doing something, and if to put it in layman's, or to put it in basic terms, I was so disconnected from myself, from my sexual energy, and as weird as it sounds, from my fucking cock energy, from trauma, and from so much to do with sexual shame, sexual guilt, that I was disconnected from that. So I was coming from up here. Like, you can't fuck a woman from your head, which is what all guys who are going out trying to pick up girls and getting rejected are often doing. They're like, oh yeah, like, and they're not in their body feeling, but they're coming from the head, and it's a bit dirty. I used to be the same way.
It's a little bit desperate too.
It's desperate.
And girls will all normally pick up on that. I had a situation years ago where I had a girl who I met out one night. Oh God, let me get clear on this. Is going back everything like this is going back 25, 30 years. And I think I met her. Yeah, that's right, I did. I met her at the place called the Kent Hotel in Newcastle. Just on the dance floor, just turned around as I'm sure you've been there. Oh hi, and then doing the whole groove thing, and then next thing you know, it's like we end up home together somehow, and things went on that night. Got up the next day, and I just sort of like, oh right, so are you with the guy or anything? She said no, and like that. She said, I said, oh cool, I'm going to go, but look, here's my number. Back in the days when you left your number, here's my number. Wrote it out, and I said, call me again if you'd like to go out again. No problems, we can do it. Didn't want to push an issue. I said, oh, thanks, cracking night last night. I think you're awesome. We'll catch you soon. Get the phone call. Wanted to do it right this time, and not go and just get drunk and not aiming for that. Just let's go and have dinner. Let's, because I thought, yeah, she's an attractive girl. Let's just see where this rolls. And wanted to find out a bit about her and all that kind of stuff. That developed into probably a 2-month relationship before we went down that path again. And so then I got to a point where I was like, man, I really want to, let's do this, And she kept sort of steering away from it, which I thought was weird because we'd been there in the initial beginning. And then I found out that, yeah, she was actually sleeping with a guy at work and then using me, I'd say, more for emotional comfort.
Ah, yes.
So
you became the nice guy.
I became the nice guy. So what happened
the
was...
friend zone guy.
Yeah, now the weird thing is I used to play rugby league, and it's a hard, tough physical game, and we used to go and beat the living shit out of each other.
Oh, yeah.
So I got on the phone one day to this guy, and I'm going like, and I didn't know, I found out, because he's sending messages, and because phones had just come out with messages, and I think it was like Nokia 4210 days, early days.
Oh, yeah, mate.
And then I'm getting these, and it was still sort of a phone call thing, or I don't know how I found out. I really can't. I'm a bit sketchy on that. But anyway, I found out the guy she was asleep with, or she admitted to it. I can't remember who it was. And then I ended up realising it was a player from another team that I used to play against.
Oh.
Yeah, and he got really dirty on me because she didn't tell him about me and I didn't know about him. And then when we did, I rang him up to sort of say, like, is this what's happened? Is this true? Stupid, because now I wouldn't bother. It's mine and her issue, not not him.
Yep.
Yeah, but when you're young, you don't think like that. It's sort of, you want to be the biggest lion in the pack. And it turned into a bit of an incident between me and him, but the whole time we're being played by the girl, and and I used to say, this is getting back to why I'm talking about this, is you said, it was me, what did I do wrong? I actually didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? Like we sometimes are clueless, and when you do be the nice guy, and when you're trying to be straight, I'm not going to say always, but occasionally you can find somebody who can see that a mile away. You know, and you don't see it yourself, but you know, like next thing you know, you've got somebody who wants that emotional sort of lean to. Like it's a Tinder date in your case, so a little bit different. But then why was she still on Tinder if she's kind of seeing someone?
That's
How many days was it after that you'd first seen her? Did she have time then to establish a relationship with someone? Or 3, was it a complete cop out? She was saying that because she was off it.
She was no. I basically, when it came down to it, she was saying that because she didn't want to hurt my feelings, and also
What, and just say, nah, look, I'm
like,
not keen.
just and to basically deny my advances, because it's, to put things into context, over these 7 years, I got, like, I hate to use the term, but it's that friend zone thing so many times. But the thing is, once again, this is something I was doing to myself because I was the consummate nice guy. Now, the thing is, there's a difference between the nice guy and the good guy.
Yep.
The good guy's got his boundaries, he stands up for what he believes in, and he goes for what he wants.
Yep.
And there's no fucking two ways about it. And he's willing to say to a woman, this is what I want from this relationship. If you don't want to be in it, like, I'm not going to keep you around as well for emotional support.
That's it.
Now, interestingly enough, since going through these emotional changes that I've been through, I've moved into a more, for lack of a better term, polyamorous relationship. I see multiple women now. I still go out and I'm still picking up. I'm even still on Tinder and all this kind of stuff. But I still have a lot of female friends. Now, some of these female friends I'm attracted to. Now, every woman in my life now, unlike before where, like, they were like, oh, yeah, like, Trav, and, like, didn't, I guess, even think about my sexuality, there's no doubt in any one of my female friends' minds, especially the ones I'm attracted to, that given the opportunity, we would have a fucking amazing time and, like, rolling around in bed.
Yep.
It would be on. But that doesn't mean that that's what the relationship is founded upon. And it's kind of like, I kind of think of it as well, once a man's sexual nature as being like if you imagine like you've got like a pet like dog or something now, or like this, or not even a pet dog, like a wild beast type of thing. Now, some of these guys are so ashamed of this wild beast. I was one of them, I guess, because I've got my own little kinks and penchants, and I was always a bit like, oh, I'm a bit strange. But so I was like the guy that was like standing there going, no, there's no wild beast, but like, no, and this thing's trying to like go crazy, and it's like, no, there's nothing there though. There's nothing there. And it's not to be trusted. Women will kind of look at that and go, I don't really trust this. Now, there's that version. Then there's the guy who's all up in his head. Now, he almost just lets the wild beast run out and like kind of like almost molests the fucking woman, and or got him like on a very vague leash, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. Like, it's licking all over. Sorry, like the invasiveness. Now, once you connect with your sexual nature as a man or even as a woman, for me, that beast is now, that the animalistic part of me, that beastly sexual nature, is now sitting by my side. It's not on a leash, but it's right there. It's on display, and every woman can go, oh, that's a gorgeous thing there, and it won't leap on you unless I want it to. If we want to leap on you, then, and you open and you give the invitation for that, of course, then it's going to be a fucking amazing time. But it's there, and that's how I see a man's sexual nature, and understandably so, because these days there's so much shit around toxic masculinity. There's all of this kind of stuff that comes into it. So guys, in so many ways, are ashamed of that kind of sexual side of themselves, or to own their masculinity, to own their sexuality.
I think it's always been there. I think we now have a term for it, and I think there's a lot of people jumping on. It's getting into that piece. That's a PC minefield that we can open up, because it's a case of like, I'm a male. I'm very male, and I talk like a rough bloke. I come across like that. Yet you can't judge a guy simply because that's, like, I can be toxic. I can be as blokey bloke as you want to be, but I've got a lot of levels, and I've got a lot of things that I think about, and I do. I've got a bit. Look, I'm punching above my weight with my wife, and it's because, and I've had to give up a lot of things and for her happiness, as far as things that I do, and time is the big one. You know, you need to put the time into your partner, because, you know, like if I'm just in here all the time and that, you know, out of a hair, playing in the studio, doing recording and all that kind of stuff, well then she's going to get very used to me not being around, and then that makes it very easy for her not to be around, you know. So you got to put that time in, and so I'm very aware of all that. Yet I've had people all the time just say, "God, you're such a bloke," you know what I mean? Like, and I go, "Yeah, I am," and I'm proud to be a man, because I'm a fucking man. Like I'm a bloke, and
got a beautiful house. You built this studio. That's
like I'm the stereotypical like building things. You know what I mean? Like doing this that, but it's a case of I like and I like, and look, and Kaneko, my wife, she loves being a female. She loves to clean. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but she loves to keep the houses, like she loves doing the house stuff, and she, you know, like she'll get out and do stuff with me in the garden occasionally, and we do stuff together. But I'm not allowed to cook, one, because I'm shit. But she is Japanese, and food is something that's taken very seriously, and she cooks very well. And she's, why do I have to eat your shit when I can make something 10 times better? And my mates come round, and Kaneko's in the kitchen doing this, and they say to me, they go, you know, like, why don't you get out and help your wife and all that kind of stuff? So, mate, I'm not allowed near the kitchen. They go, oh yeah, that's probably you not wanting to go in there. And I go, nah, we've got this understanding. Like, and when it comes to the lifting and when it comes to doing certain things, and I just take Kiki off her hands when she needs that break, and we've got a very awesome symbiotic relationship, which is very old school husband and wife, and the way it is. I'm out earning the dollars, she's at home keeping house, and everyone sort of goes, oh, and people bucking that, saying, you know, that I'm keeping her there, and I'm not at all, mate. And we're happy. We are a happy couple, and we've got our place. One in society, and I guess the fact that she's Japanese, and it's still very much like that in Japan. But I didn't marry her purely to keep her in the kitchen, and that's what she likes. When I met her, she was working for American Airlines, and, you know, like, it was. She was a working woman, very independent, but she loves being a mum, and you know. So we've got this thing, and I think you can be like that, but you're going to get some wanker turn around and go, "You're being a toxic male," you know, like, it's like, fuck you, like I'm, you know, like I'm not, you know, and the whole, I've got a mate, Carl Juncker, and he's big on the fact that men in this world are being watered down to the point where it's shameful to be a man.
It is, and no, he's quite right there.
And we love girls, and we love getting around with a couple of blokes just going, fuck me, check that out, she is stunning. I can't see anything wrong with that.
And it's got to be, as long as it's done from a state of appreciation and not entitlement. Now that's why that's a great call. And from, like, appreciation, not entitlement. I really like when that. When I walk up to a woman in a bar and I notice something about her, and she's gorgeous, the reason I'm attracted and walking up to her is because I want to tell her my truth. And I'm like, darling, that dress you're wearing, the way your hair is, you are a gift tonight, my dear. That is amazing. That's me expressing my truth. That's not me going, oh, by the way.
What's the reaction you get from it? Because, I mean, I might have said it a little slightly differently, but I've said that in the past, and I've been shot down.
Yeah.
But how's that gone for you when you've said that?
It depends for me, because I would say these days, because, you know, in, like, even that pickup artistry community, there's a thing called cold approach, where you just got to approach people, approach. The more I've connected with myself, the more I'm very much aware of micro expressions and the room. And for starters, if a woman doesn't look at me, like if I don't even catch a woman's eye looking at me for a second, or I don't feel her energy, at least in some way directed towards me, I won't approach her.
Yep.
I'm not going to interrupt, or like if two women are sitting facing each other directly in an intense conversation, I might be attracted to her. But who the fuck am I to go up and interrupt that conversation? Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
I need some kind of cue. I need the littlest, and it's only got to be the invite of the woman looking at me that invites me, and then I'm like, okay, she's given me the invite, now it's my turn to go over. So in that sense, I also would say I don't particularly experience rejection. Or
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do when I'm out and about is when my innocent rascally child kind of self comes out. I see a woman walk by and I'm just like, I just wait, and I just like, I'm like, hello, like. For people who are listening, I wave like a little kid. I like, if you can see on the video, but I was like, hey, how are you? And then they'll wave at me, and if they wave back, I'm like, hey, come over here. Like, what's your name? What's your name? I'm Travis. Like, and that comes out of me. So oftentimes the response I get is always positive because I'm aware enough to read my environment in the room. But even as I said, when I go up and if it's not received well, if I'm like, dear, you look stunning, and she's like, yeah, whatever. Like, I should be able to walk away from that. Once again, not feeling rejected because I expressed my truth. I did my job. I showed up. I'm not entitled to her going, oh, thanks, you're just the best. Look at you just appreciating me. That's not what it's about. I'm not entitled to that. I told my truth. Now I can leave. Like,
I've done that in the past, and I've walked away, and I've had that exact thing, like, oh, whatever, you know, and I've walked away and go, oh, it's a shame. I feel sorry for her because she can't have that openness and conversation and accept a compliment, you know, and it is happening. But one thing I've noticed, actually, there was a period, say 10 or so years ago, where girls were very, very shut down. And I think what's happened is it's almost flip-sided, where I chat to a lot of people, and conversation's something that's not really a given anymore, if you know what I'm saying. It's very rare that people like you and I sit down now and have a conversation for an hour and a half and talk about things and throw things to and fro. And you do it out like if I was, for example, I was paying a registration on my boat trailer and just started having a conversation with this girl and found out, well, she's from New Zealand and, you know, she's lived out here for 7 or 8 years and she loves kippers and told me about these little kipper fish and we talked and because she had things to do and sit on the computer for 4 minutes while, you know, everything came up and checked out and went tick tick and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, and then at the end of that she said, oh, really nice chatting to you, and I went, yeah, you too, have a great day. And in that environment she probably has people sort of go, oh, yeah, good day, innit? Or, you know, just, you know, and I am a conversationalist, that's why I do stacks and stuff like that. So I guess I can sort of keep the conversation rolling or just get away from the boring, normal sort of social cues that people say, how's the weather? Oh, good, you know, nice day in it and all the bullshit. I'm not that guy, but I could sort of tell by her response that she enjoyed somebody taking the time to listen a little bit about her.
To be in like, curiosity, true openness and curiosity will get you everywhere. And I mentioned I work at IGA, and most of the time when I'm not doing night shifts, I'm working on the checkout. And I'm known by, like, all of my supervisors as, like, a horrendous flirt. Because they're like, Travis, it doesn't matter if it's a man, if it's a woman, their age, their ethnicity. You flirt with everyone. And, I mean, I'm completely straight, but to me,
You're a people person. That's what it is.
I'm curious,
yeah.
and I'm like, and you know what? Someone's buying. I'm like, you know, I'll make a joke about that, but I'm constantly looking for the feedback in terms of where this person's at energetically, and what I can do to just kind of maybe lift their spirit, or just make them laugh, or just do something weird that makes them kind of go, what? Like, just throw them off a little bit, because so many people are running just like they're not present. They're not in the moment of everything. They're like, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, here's your change, sir. And sometimes you just got to do something a little bit silly or make someone laugh, and it just pulls them back to now. Like, even I'll ask people, I'm like, how's your day today? And they're like, yeah, good, thanks. But they say it with that drop face, like, yeah, good, thanks. And I'm like, but is it good, thanks? And they're like, and they'll look at me, and they kind of lift, and they're like, well, yeah, I guess it's okay. And I'm like, well, so out of 10, where are we at? And they're like, you know, they're like, oh, I guess it's like, oh, it's a 6. I'm like, okay, just over 50. Yeah, you got somewhere to go from there, but you've got to bring them back to where they're at, which is here and now. Whereas they're off on the treadmill of memory or imagination, just going, oh, wait, I've got to go do this and I've got to go do that, and, you know, stop and smell the flowers, mate.
I really worry about the next generation with their heads down in phones all the time, headphones in, no communication. Like, I'd sit on a bus and I'd talk to the person next to me. You know, I'd sit on the train and I say hello to the lady across from us. I don't know if it's, and people say, it's the country, and it's not. It's just me personally, and it's my generation. I guarantee you, everyone that I went to school with does the same thing. From where I'm from, in a little hometown called Holmesville, New South Wales, but it was just the done thing. We all said good day to each other, and I notice now, like, kids just don't talk to each other. They're afraid to socially, you know, and so what does that cause? It causes division, and it causes grouping, and it causes socially we're changing, you know what I mean? And yeah, and then people like yourself is just that rare jewel in the crown, which, you know, like, and the thing is too, you've got, your inhibitions are low for you to be able to go out and talk to people like that, because I know I don't fear people. Yeah. I don't have inhibitions about talking to people. I don't fear community. I'll see a big bad biker walking down the street and I'm like, egg arm muscles like that.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, oh, yeah, good, mate. What's going on? You know, I'll just do that. And because I've got no fear of people. Like, I've just never had that fear. You know, I don't want to get bitten by a shark, but I'm not afraid of what someone...
And I guess also it's interesting, a lot, and I've often had that fear of people, and this is where a lot of the inner work, I guess, has been important for me, because I've wanted to connect with my authentic self and understand why something makes me afraid. Why am I worried about what that person's going to think about me? Why am I worried about the repercussions of if I do something a little bit strange in public, you know? If people look at me, why am I afraid of that? So in doing that inner work, it's really opened me up. Like, I remember it was like, it was in like November of 2017, where I'd met a girl in Mandurah. I'm still very good friends with her, actually. Shout out to Kim if she ends up having a listen to this. But I was at when I was still playing bass in the Silent Deeds, doing a gig in Mandurah, and we ended up hitting it off and having a cheeky there we are. Yeah, having a cheeky.
I've seen that somewhere in here. Yeah.
Having a cheeky make out in the alley, and then she had to go and she left me her number, and we caught up, and she lives in Montreal now, and yeah, we caught up and spent like one really nice night together. And I remember after we're like laying in bed, and she's like, "You're such a ladies' man. Like, this is," and I was like, "Mate, no, I haven't been with a woman like in this context for like ages." I'm like, "This is just a part of me that I'm discovering, that I think it's been hidden under the fear for so long." And I still get that. Whereas, yeah, now everyone at work and everyone who knows me, they're like, "Travis, you're such a fucking flirt. You're horrendous." Like, oh yeah, like, you know, you're always going after like the ladies. Like, this is, yeah, I get this all the time now because I've had to work on it. It didn't come naturally for me. I've always been a bit strange and a bit weird, but I guess the more I connect with myself, love myself, and appreciate myself, the more that I realize I don't need it from anyone else. I don't even want it. Like, I don't want your love. Like, I want you to love you. That's a far more beautiful thing. Like, if I offer something that helps you, be grateful that you could hear it and you could understand it. Don't be like, "Oh, bloody thank you, Trav, for the advice." No, just you. Like, I've got enough love in me for me.
I'm going to call this podcast 50 Shades of Trav.
Oh, God, we're probably, 49 now?
49,
and most of it's about sex or women.
No, it's been really good, like, because we, as I said, these podcasts just take all different forms, and this one's been a really good, it's actually one that girls would really like to listen to get that introspective on, and that perspective on guys, probably not so much myself, but on someone that is, and then probably helps understand themselves a little bit better as well, because the things you're saying are just like spot on as far as usually someone in your position who you know, an attractive male, has all the right assets, is doing everything right, speaks well, like I was saying before, good looking, speaks well, you think would be able to go out there and play, you know what I mean? Play the field a bit. And then, but it shows me that you're not a selfish person, because if you were and it was all about you, and you had that, it boils down to personality types as well. And you don't have that person. You are a caring guy. And I'd be interested to find out your background as far as like how you grew up and who was your influences in your life, as far as did mum influence you a lot in your life? So therefore you grew up, you know, really respecting women because you idolised your mum perhaps. I mean, we don't need to talk about that, but it kind of fits that sort of that mold, you know what I mean? Like my mother had a massive influence on me when I was young. She was the one that pretty much brought me up and told me, you know, how to be, how to treat women, how you don't do this, you don't do that. Dress nice when you're going out. When you knock on the door, turn up with flowers. Do all those right things. And as much as you sit there and go, oh, Christ, my mum just ranting on, I actually did what she told me. And for ages I was laughed at because everyone used to think, oh, God. And I remember I turned up and did exactly those things to a girl who I really had a lot of time for. Took her out to the theatre a few times, and at the time I really liked her. And she turned around to me and goes, oh, you just want to sleep with me. That's why you're doing all that. And I went, I didn't want to say, nah, my mum said I should. Because I was about 25.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say that, yeah, mum said I should do this, but she said, oh, you're just doing this because you just want to sort of sleep with me. And I went, and I learned that day that no matter what you do, if someone's put up those walls and those defences, they're going to interpret everything you do as you're just trying to sleep with me. And it's sad. So then when I moved on, I met other people. Like Kaneko today, if I went and showed up and got Kaneko flowers and done that, she's over the moon about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to sleep. Well, I do. We do. It's not a question of I want to sleep with her anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's never. We've been together 15 years, and it's not a case of I want to sleep with her. The case is that I love her and I want to do certain things for her. And yeah, and it just blows me away that once those walls are up, people just don't get it. And if you are listening and you are a male or a female, really consider next time you go out and you're trying to meet someone or you're doing that. If you are being honest and you do get rejected, don't feel bad about it. It's just sometimes it's just the way people think that they're hearing what you're saying, you know.
And or as a man, like, own your shit. If you're approaching, if I was out somewhere and I approached a woman, gave her a compliment, and she turned around and said, "You just want to sleep with me?" I'd be like, "Yes, I do. I want to take you home right now, and I'd love to absolutely ravish you. And I'd love to be completely present with you. But don't think that then I'm kicking you out of my bed. No, you're staying. And then I'm going to get to know you. And then we're going to experience each other because I want to show my vulnerable side. You can't get more vulnerable than when you're fucking. It's both divine and it's animalistic. It's everything in between. And it's like, I want to experience that with you. I want to show my all and I want to see your all. Warts and all. Like, let's get it all out there. But that's what I want. I don't want there to be this. I don't want this to be a game. I want this to be very fucking straightforward.
Yeah.
And you're staying the night, and we'll cuddle afterwards because that's what I want.
Well, I guess, I mean, I'm going to use Facebook here, but you said it before that a few of those people that you have met, and I've got a couple that I've met over the years, and we've spent the night together and all that kind of stuff. I still talk to a lot of them today, and I'm married.
Yeah.
And I still say g'day and take the time to go out, and if I see them, I'll stop, and we have our good 5-10 minute conversations like, how the hell you been? Or on Facebook, they still comment, and they love the fact that I've found my wife and all that. Like, that's what it should be like. That's what it should, and then, you know, and then that boils down to what I believe I was like, because they knew there was a stage in my life where I said, look, I am a love rat. I said, we'll have fun, and there's no hidden agenda here. You know, I said, we can have fun, and I can come across very mature, and I said, but I'm not going to fall in love with you first. I don't even know you. And when they heard that, they were really like, oh, this is, like, wow, I'm actually talking with somebody that has a head on his shoulders
fucking
here.
genuine,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, none of this, like, saying shit to try and get somewhere. Or so, like, I'd just go, nah. I said, look, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I said, yeah, you know. And then the attractive thing that I was told that with me was a few times was that I said, there's not a chance. I said, I'm not being selfish, but I couldn't be in a relationship because I'm wanting to travel Australia doing comedy. I'm wanting to travel Australia doing my music. I don't know if I'm going to be in Broome next week. I don't know if I'm going to be here. I don't know what I'm doing. I might see someone, and I just laid it all out, and people knew what I was about.
Yeah.
But they also knew that we could have a giggle and a laugh together, have a bit of fun, have a few drinks, get on, so to speak. And they knew from the get-go that it was a friend. It was like a friendly fuck, not a.
It should be.
I think you've got friends like that as well.
That's you should be. All of my friends I have an emotional connection with. That's the case. Then, like I said, there's female friends that I have an even deeper emotional and physical connection with, which is the act of sex. And it's all fucking joyous.
Yep.
It's fucking supposed to be joyful.
Yep.
Like, sex... And this is some of the things I have to do with some of my male mates, because... And it's the same with women as well. The fucking problem is romantification. You will look at a woman across the room, next minute you... Probably worse for... I think it's... Men and women are as bad as each other with this, honestly. But you look at a woman or a man across the room, and next minute you're imagining marrying them. It's like, fuck off, you don't know the person.
Yeah, I can't say I've done that.
Oh, thank goodness for that, because I've known mates who are like, or they very soon, even after a couple of weeks of dating, they're like, oh, but like, there's this quality about him. I'm like, I don't know if it would work in a marriage. And I'm like, wait, are you having fun together? Do you enjoy each other's company right now? Because right now is what matters, and whether you like it or not, both of you are going to fucking change.
Yeah.
The one thing that never changes in life is that everything fucking changes.
And I think that's sometimes why, in Kaneko and I's case, we're so polar opposites apart. We've got no interests that are similar.
Yeah.
Not one, apart from each other. I like her, she likes me. She likes different things. We care about our daughter. But we're so apart. We'll sit down and she'll watch Japanese TV and I'll watch sport on the phone. And we're just happy being together, sitting there watching it. And then we'll talk and then go back to our interest. And I don't feel I want to watch what you're watching. I want to understand you. There's none of that. And so we never had that. We never had that crossover as far as, I'm into it. Like, she's got these great qualities. She loves my music. She reckons I'm shit. I go like, yeah, I'm pretty good music. She goes, you're okay. Like, I'm saying a lot better. Like, and I love that honesty. There's a quality that I love.
Yeah.
Like, it's killer. So I guess if you don't know that you're going to have that. It took us a while to know each other till you find those qualities. But I guess it's what qualities do you look for straight off the bat? You know what I mean? And I think conversation would have to be number one. If you can't have a conversation with somebody, and then you're on that level. I mean, I met a girl recently who's got a boyfriend, and he's a great guy, and but we just clicked. You know what I mean? And so, and there was nothing ever sexual or anything there. We talked about some weird shit down that road of sex and all that stuff, while the boyfriend was standing there. But he was also at that level too, where he goes, she's having a conversation with this guy, she gets on with him, I understand that, he seems like a reasonable bloke, he's having a good, intelligent conversation, bit of a laugh, light-hearted, beautiful. That was at a show. And to this day, like, she still talks about Facey, and so does he now, hey man, what's going on, yeah, good. And conversation, like, people, and I think this thing about nightclubs where you get in there and you dance and it's all about body movements and all that kind of stuff. Physical attraction will only last for so long.
It will.
No matter how smoking hot either of you are,
And I know exactly what you mean. There was on Friday night, I was with a friend, and I was in that childish rascal set. And literally, there's two girls, and I waved at them, and I was like, "Hey, what are your names?" And immediately we got in a conversation. Everything was great. Then we were like, "Oh, we're going to bloody this place. Do you want to come?" And immediately we got it on, and I was very attracted to one of the girls. That's why I waved at her, and I made that very clear. I'm like, "You're gorgeous." I'm like, "You're so small. I just want to pick you up and throw you around. You're so tiny." Adorable little thing. And then as the night went on, and I made my intentions very clear, and then she basically said, "Oh, look, I've got a boyfriend." I'm like, "Oh, do you? Tell me about this boyfriend." Like, it's like, "Oh, I've been seeing him for 2 months." I'm like, "Oh, come on, show me a picture. I want to see this guy." And I'm like, "Oh, isn't he a handsome lad?" And we had a brilliant night together, and mind you, my other mate hooked up with her friend, so I was like, bloody well done, sir.
Yeah. But you're a rarity because, once again, that's your unselfish nature. Had you been a selfish nature, you would, oh, really? Hey, so what are you doing?
Yeah, that's it. And
you would have moved
oh,
on
yeah,
because
fuck
you're
off.
only after the one thing. Now, they would have sensed that straight away because what you did
Yeah.
was show them that it's not about sex. It's not about a result. It's genuine about, man, we're having fun. You're a nice
we're
person.
having fun.
We're hanging out.
Don't get me wrong, like I said, given half the chance, I will bend you over and do nasty things to you. But also, like, I totally respect. And then, funnily enough, she then, like, a couple of hours later, when I'm at home, like at 5 a.m. in the morning, she somehow found me and added me on Facebook, and we started the conversation up again. It's
There you
like
go.
we started chatting. It's like, I respect. She's in a relationship. She's in a committed monogamous relationship, and I'm like, fucking cool.
But is that
you know
not a
what?
smart move too? Because had you just dropped it there and then, you may never speak to her again. Now, what happens is 3 months down the track, shit's not going well between her and her boyfriend, and next thing you know, they're not together. She's going to be, hey, Trav, what are you doing? Let's go out, sometime. And that groundwork you put in and the right moves you put in there, and I shouldn't say moves because it sounds sleazy, but the reason you just being you enables the possibility, and this is where guys fall short. You got to create possibilities, and I do it every day.
You do.
Every day
That's
with
true.
creating possibilities. Like with my daughter, I'll show her something, and she doesn't have to learn that day. I plant seed. I might leave a little guitar in her room. That's because it's the possibility that one day she's going to pick it up and all of a sudden take interest in it. But if it was never there, she may never pick it up.
And you're creating possibilities. You're sowing seeds wherever you go with everyone you know. I
Great for networking, for business and all that stuff as well.
very much so. Like, I've gotten so many jobs, or like met so many people, made so many friends, interacted with so many different human beings just from that, from being my most authentic self at that time and expressing that and expressing interest in the other person. Because people are fucking interesting. We're a weird bunch of whatever we are as humans, and we're weird and we're interesting, and I want to know about you because I'm sure there's something in you that will give me comfort in myself, or that might make me chuckle, or that we can like just have fun together. That's fucking cool in my opinion.
Do people, and I'm going to segue a little bit here, do people sometimes not, is it too much? Are you too much? I can be too much for some people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, can you be too much for some people? Like, and they get just can't do it. And it's because, one, they probably just don't get the whole concept. They don't see what you're about.
Yeah.
What they see is sometimes I think people would sometimes see you as a threat.
Yeah.
Especially males who are very protective with females. You know what I mean?
That's been happening a lot.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
fun.
I've copped it. And the thing is, I
Yeah.
look at the guy and I look at me and go, "You for fucking real? Like, come on, dude. Like, look at me. Like, as I said, I look like a hat full of chisels. Like this bloke. I've had blokes over the years and they just go, like, just fuck off and leave my girlfriend alone. No, I'm just having a cool conversation, like, dude. And then I'm onto the guy then.
Yeah.
Mate, and then I try and say, like, mate, you just shouldn't be like that. Like this, I've got no interest in your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, apart from the fact that we're just enjoying a conversation. Now, when that's a problem, it's your problem.
Yeah.
You know, and it's nearly led to punch-ups and shit like that. But yeah,
Well, thankfully, I am definitely too much for some people. I think the intensity of my energy at times, especially when I'm out and I'm in my like because I do flux between extroverted and introverted, I think quite evenly. But when I'm in my extroverted phase and it's really turned on, it's like poof. But
that's the Trav that I knew,
Yeah.
and I've seen perform and I've seen lead a band and all that stuff, and it's what made you, and that's why I headhunted you for a podcast, because I went, this guy's definitely going to have stuff to say, you know, like, because it was just, you know, you ooze it physically as well. So.
But it's funny, yeah, because I have a friend at the moment who's a close friend, and she's recently hooked up with this guy, and this guy he's younger, he's an Irish boy, he's a nice dude, but we hung out a couple of weeks and he doesn't like me, but I kind of revel in it, like, because I can see, like, I'm like, dude, you got nothing to be threatened about, and then the cheeky side of me comes out, because I'm like, ooh, I know that I'm bothering you a little bit. And so this is where my rascal side comes out with people, and I'm like, ooh, like, I get to poke fun at them. I'm like, hey, you notice that? Did you notice that about yourself? Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's unique to every individual.
It's going to happen too where, and once, I mean, if things last between these two and they settle and all that kind of stuff, even from her perspective, you will drift away at some point. You know what I mean? Like, people do get closed in, and I guess while you're single and that circle, friendship circles and that exist, you tend to, I don't know why that happens though. You know, like, it's, like Kaneko and I have got a circle of friends, but it's so tight, so small. And that, well, actually mine are real. I've got associates like yourself, so I've got so many that are in the industry and around Perth for different things that we talk to regularly. We're friends, we always chat, we occasionally do a dinner, but the circle of people that I see on a regular basis are very few and far between, and that does happen. But I guess with your personality, you're gonna meet people and you're gonna have these girlfriends and stuff, but they'll eventually sort of fade away. But you will keep some. There's something I wanted to tell you before, and I'm just trying to remember what it was. That's right. When we were talking before about how we've had friends and that we've slept with, but and you've got friends that you haven't, but you're so close to them. I'll let you in on something. There's a girl that I love to this day. I absolutely adore her. I think she's the most beautiful girl. Can't stop just checking up on her face and seeing how she's living. And it's not that I want to be with her because she's in a relationship. She's got kids. She's so happy. But I just adore this girl. I genuinely, and I have since school. And I went to school with her, and I've just always adored her and always absolutely thought the world of this woman. And we were together when we were young, but I was so naive and young and didn't have a clue what I was fucking doing. And were we? I mean, we're 12, 13, you know.
Man.
So it's not even.
Yeah.
It's not even. But it was, that goes back to then, when the way I thought about her then, I think about her today, and absolutely think the world of her. And I do, and would do anything for her still to this day. And we've got our lives and we're close, and we're friends, and we still talk. And she'd come over to Perth, and when she was here, she made sure we caught up and all that stuff. But as far as us ever, we've never kissed, we've never done anything. You know? Yet, if you said to me, if there was anyone on the planet you could marry, I don't have to think. You know, I'd be like, I've got that person. But we've never got there. Like, we've never had an intimate moment ever once. Yeah, for me, I mean, she might think different, but it's weird because it's not someone that I've been with in the past. And I had a girlfriend in the past who I think very highly of as well, who, if you could go back, who would you go back? And it was like, oh, well, if I had to, it would be her sort of thing. And we were intimate and all that kind of stuff. But to have someone that you just never had that moment with, but I feel like I trust in my life, and everything about her is my ideal. You know what I mean? But we're friends. It's not like she doesn't know I exist. It's not a case of, oh, there's this girl out there, but she doesn't know I exist.
I just sit here and stalk her from my chair and know what's
and
going
I don't.
on
But the thing is,
Facebook.
and I've never stalked her. Like, it's. I guess when I say I look at her on Facebook and I see what she's doing in that, like, we are friends and it pops up, but I take a genuine interest in what things are happening. Because, for example, like, she was an artist and always has been, and now she's just, after all these years, done university, and she's going to become an art teacher. And I always, back then, I knew that she'd be the best art teacher because she just was into it, you know. So to see that arc is really, really cool, and to have that affection for somebody that from a distance. But you know what? I love, if she broke up with her husband, I'd be genuinely upset because I know how good it is right now in her family sort of situation, and she thinks the kids are great. He's an awesome man. But any guy that she ever had a relationship with, she tended to, I think they see the fact that I have a lot of affection for her. Probably don't believe that there's nothing ever gone on. So there's been this kind of jealousy. So what I think she did was keep me at arm's length as we got older, keep at arm's length from me a bit, because, you know, like, I'd sort of, I don't know, I don't know what it was, but yeah, I've always had that moment where there's been that one person that, but never once has it been a sexual thing, and it's not, the attraction isn't a sexual attraction at all. I think she's absolutely stunning and beautiful, but not in the way that I don't know. I guess it's a total head attraction.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. I've never been able to explain it. I've never, because it's weird. It's unlike any other attraction I've had for anybody, including my wife. You know, which is, well, like the attraction I have towards my wife is a completely different one again.
There are, and I find that is the case. You will often run into different people in life that strike you in certain ways, whether they be men or women. There's been many people who fascinate me, and that I'm intrigued by, and that I have a lot of respect for. I guess when it comes to women, it's like, yeah, there's this. That's why I don't really particularly have a type, even when it comes to a woman, because it's like, when I appreciate something about her, it's like, what is it that, like, they're always different, and there's always something, and some are really special. There's, I've never been taught more in life than by the women that have been in my life.
Yeah.
And I guess to go 7 years without that, and because I was hurt by being cheated on, I kind of was like, no, if someone comes along, she's got to be really special, and did that kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And really just denied myself the ability to. I rejected women before they even got a chance to get close to me, or for them to even reject me. I look at them, I'd be like, nah, but no, like, or I'd wait for them to fit into a box of what I thought was perfect. And then even if they did fit into that box, there'd be no fucking way I'd be able to approach them, because I would have freaked out. I'd be like, So
the 7 years happened after you found out about your ex-partner and what was going on.
It was when I first came to Perth, which was in 2011, and I
Where's home originally?
Melbourne, Victoria.
Yep.
Are
your family there still?
My father lives in Geelong, and my mother, stepfather, and sister live in Queensland now.
Yeah, right. So you're over here basically. You're it.
I'm here on my own. Yeah, I do the what is it, the Orphans Christmas all the time. But I like it this way. Like I love my parents, but we are very different people.
Yep.
Very different people. So and at the end of the day, I as much as I love everyone that I know, and all my friends and all of my lovers, even as much as I love them, I don't feel in any way attached to them.
Yep.
Like, if one of them came out of my life as, like, you know, or drifted out of my life, that I would be in full acceptance of that. If any of them died, I would be sad, sure, but I would never feel lost. I in no way feel lost.
I totally understand what you're saying.
You know?
I lost a brother last year, and we were tired us three, but where a lot of people were clutching at straws after he died, I was never felt lost, never felt. I know this sounds bad, but I was never overly upset. I miss him and I love him, and I'm saddened for his family that he's gone. But I'm funny with things like that. Like when people go, my take on life is really different to a lot of people. For me, there's no ownership on life. We don't.
Yeah.
People say you own your own life and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we do. But for me, what I mean is that we're all part of a bigger thing, and we're so insignificant, and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I've embraced that. I've embraced the fact that chaos of loss is going to come in and out of my life a lot. You know.
Why? You know, we can celebrate birth, but why can't we celebrate death? I think it's or celebrate the time that person had. That is, I think, even what gives life so much value is knowing that death is a certainty.
Yeah.
For every one of us.
Well, he gave a lot, and he had a lot at his and that made me happy. You know, like the fact that there weren't people there saying bad things, and he had people show up. He was very big on coach. He was a rugby coach, and he had all the kids turn up and from the whole club, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of, I felt at peace that he had done his thing here. You know, he got enough done. You know, and you know, it's just sad that he's not going to see his two young boys grow up. But I just don't know. And family, I'm like yourself. I could be totally on my own, and I don't feel the need for that. For them to be around. I do like that they're there, you know. But now that I've got my own daughter, I couldn't imagine being apart from her. So it's kind of a contradiction, you know. It's sort of bizarre. It's never needed that closeness, and I am close to my parents because they're here, and you know, and I always will be. But I've never felt that need for it, you know. Like I've never felt that. I'm not clingy. I'm not sort of someone that, you know, like I'm not the sort of put my arm around my brother and go, we're bros.
Yeah, you and me.
To the end, you and me,
yeah.
kid. You know, to the end, we're not like that at all. It's just like, I know I've got a lot of solitary sort of feelings there, but then with my daughter, it's all completely different. Hard to explain. It's a real contradiction, but yeah.
I'm thinking.
So you're in Melbourne.
Yep.
What brought you to Perth?
To study jazz at Whopper. Yeah, as a vocalist. So yeah, I got into Whopper and came over here in 2011, which is actually where I met the bassist and the drummer of my current musical project, King Proteus. So, but I came over here and I just fell in love with Perth. Perth's fucking weird. It's small, it's eclectic, and it's me to a T. Like,
yeah, it suits me too.
You know,
in its own kind of way. Yeah.
I like, I guess, because I do love people. I like that I can go into town and I will see someone that I know. I like that at the end of the night, like even last night, I'll go to Joe's Juice Joint and there's someone I know, and there's a woman who I've been meaning to catch up with for a while. Sorry, darling, I know that we've been meaning to catch up. I'll let's get on this again. My bad. I love all this kind of stuff. It's like an extended family for me. I don't think family is just blood related. I think it's who you share your love and your time and your compassion with. That's what makes them a family, and we're all in life.
Yeah,
it's
you said before that you do like the Orphans Christmas, which I am familiar. I've never actually done the Orphans Christmas, but I used to hold on Good Friday because everything was shut. There used to be like a chance for, I used to invite musos over and we'd all get together on, that was like our Christmas musos togetherness. Because no one was gigging. It was the one day that no one was gigging, and we'd all get together, all the musos, and because they were like a family as well. I need to kick that off again actually. And we'd all get together and have a day together, musos with other musos, you know what I mean? It was a real good, just a barbie, and, you know, talking about, like we do, talk about things other than, you know, songs and music and stuff that consumes so much of our life. But yeah, but you were saying you come over to study jazz singing at Whopper.
Yeah.
So that was your first initial. Was it your first initial love in music? Did you see Michael Bublé or something and just went, whoa, I want to be that guy?
I was living, before I came over here, I was living in Geelong with my father for a couple of years, and the only music course they offered in Geelong at the time was a jazz course. So I did 2 years of studying jazz over there, and that's where my love of jazz and the improvisational nature of jazz came in. I still listen to jazz, but I don't really play it or practice it anymore.
Yep.
But I love what it opened me up to in terms of the freedom that it approached music with, and the mentality of jazz musicians. I really enjoyed that culture. That's what I really picked up from dipping my toes into the world of jazz.
So with King Proteus and the other two guys have had a jazz background as well.
Yeah.
The music that you're playing, it's probably nowhere near jazz, is it?
It's not. It's a combination of, I guess, there's like funk, soul, reggae, rock, there are jazzier elements, progressive elements as well, but as we were talking about earlier on, it's like that's why I kind of adapted the name Proteus. Proteus being this sea god who could change into anything he wanted to.
Yeah.
It was the idea with this band was that you had four, because we've also got Clayton Brown from Filth Wizards, and I met him playing with the Deeds.
I love that name. The Filth Wizards.
Filth Wizard, and he's also in the Limbs. They were the ones playing last night. So got him, but it was like getting four players together who are competent enough that they can play anything they want.
Yeah.
And that can bend the whim of the song to express the emotion and what they want to express through it. So that's really what King Proteus is about anyway.
And it's fairly fresh, isn't it? You've only been out.
Very fresh.
Yeah. I mean, we do talk about other stuff in the music, but we do touch on the music a little bit. Yeah, so very fresh and likely to record.
We've got 3 tracks up on SoundCloud, which you can check out, or Triple J Unearthed, via the if you look up King Proteus on Facebook. 3 tracks there. 2 of them about 2 different women. One, because I write about fucking women, because clearly that's what inspires me in my life, because I'm just a fucking slut, mate. But yeah, it's good. It's really good musicians, and like I'm just grateful to have these guys that are so capable, like so amazingly capable.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful, especially coming from what I had been playing with before.
I'm looking forward to hearing some. Is one of those ones on SoundCloud? Are we able to play it?
Yeah, definitely.
Would be okay to play it on Stax?
We would definitely be okay to play it.
Let's have a song then. What's the name of the song?
Oh, okay.
What one are you gonna play for us?
Ooh. I reckon the good. I've got to go for my favourite, and this is the one that's not about women. It's called Self-Inflicted, and it's definitely our funkiest, kind of grooviest number that's just a bit strange.
All right, let's listen to it.
Let's do it.
Self-Inflicted.
We need to keep that as the intro for sure.
Woke up this morning with a mean black dog to suck it in my skull, holding me down. I need some healing. Put my head under cover just to block the world out. When my mind shouts, the dark little stress is always self-inflicted. 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 The birds are cheeping. In my head I'm prepared to cut each fucker down with my sharp crown. My soul is screaming, and the fake ass smile is wearing me right down. The inner sound saying the dark little stress is always self-inflicted. 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 memories appalling again. Watch my descent into another lie. Seething and heaving, I'm breathing the bleeding of shame and pain. Cross my heart, hope to die, ready to fly. Let it all go, 'cause I'm drowning and dead out of hope. The dark little stress is always self-inflicted. 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 The dark little stresses, oh, the dark little stresses, oh, the dark little stress is always self-inflicted. Yeah, the dark little stresses, the dark little stresses, yeah, dark little, dark little, dark little stresses.
All right, that was self-inflicted. Wow.
Yeah, so, no, it's not a bad tune.
Yeah. I actually haven't heard it for the folks.
I was like, what are we going to talk about
I've
here?
just let you in on
I've
I've just let you in on a big secret. But yeah, you guys just heard it. I actually haven't heard it, but I will have heard it by the time I watch or hear this back. That's the way the magic happens.
of studio
It's the way the
production.
magic happens. So yeah, it's production. Mate, you were saying before Perth's a weird place.
Yeah.
Anything really weird happen to you in Perth? Something? Have you got a weird story for us? Something that's like, well, that's just trippy shit.
Oh, mate. It depends how deep you want to go down the rabbit hole of weird, because my weird is fucking weird. On the way coming over to Perth, I attempted to drive. So it would have been February 2011. And then I got into the middle of South Australia and rolled my car 4 times at 140 kilometres per hour.
Wow. Where was that? Like on the after Sejuna or?
It was 15 or 16 kilometres out of Kimber.
Yep.
That town that's like a tiny little town
Yeah.
that's claimed to fame as the halfway point
It is, yeah.
between the east and west coast. So I was, I think 15 k's
Hasn't
out
Kimber
of
got
that.
the big galah?
Possibly,
I think
yeah.
Kimber has, yeah.
I was stuck there
So
for
hang
a
on,
couple of days.
140 kilometres an hour.
Yeah,
Straight road?
straight road.
Fell asleep?
No.
Just blown tyre? Do you know what happened? Or?
I know what happened. It depends how, like... I have 2 stories I tell for this.
Okay.
I have 2 stories. One that I tell
Is the
most...
truth?
one which I tell most people is that I was fiddling with the radio.
Yeah.
That's not the truth.
Yeah.
That I took my eye off the road, fiddling with the radio. Now the truth is I took my eye off the road, but how do I simplify this without going into a long-winded story? Truth be told, I was, let's say, playing a game with God, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
And it was this kind of thing that was occurring within me at the time. Nothing in any way sinister. I find the whole experience to be quite beautiful, the way I remember it. Inspired by this inner conversation that I was having with I guess my higher self, for once again, lack of a better term, that kind of posed the suggestion that you're on a dead straight road, your arm hasn't moved for an hour and a half. Do you trust life as a whole enough? Do you trust yourself? Do you trust everything enough that you can close your eyes for 10 seconds while your hand does not move? There's no one around me. I'm the only one in the car. It's like, do you trust yourself?
Yeah.
Do you trust everything enough? And I played this game and I got up to 6 seconds a couple of times. I opened my eyes and I was still dead straight in the middle of this fucking nullarbor heading down the fucking highway. And this was over the course of about half an hour, and I think then it was the 5th or 6th time I got up to 8 seconds, and I opened my eyes and I was coming off the road, right hand side of the road, going for one of those plastic reflector poles, and if I just hit my brakes, I would have been fine. I would have just skidded eventually in my little tiny Corolla, 1992 Toyota Corolla that I was in, but instead I freaked, hit the brake, swerved, and then recorrected, and that's when it rolled.
Yep.
I opened my eyes, car's upside down, I pulled myself out. I didn't have any whiplash or anything, and at this point, I didn't pass out or anything, and this older couple who were probably, I don't know, a little bit further behind, far further behind me, because I didn't see them at all, on this road, they'd pulled up and they're like, "Oh, look, are you alright?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And the shock was setting in, like that adrenaline shock, and they're like, "Oh, where are you coming from?" And I'm like, looking left and right on this road. I'm like, look right, and I'm like, Geelong. I came from Geelong. They're like,
You're pointing at Perth.
yeah. And I'm like, where are you going? I'm like, Perth. I'm going to Perth. And they're like, okay, sit down. And I'm like sitting there, and like everything's just kind of processing. And then the minute that I'm just like, I was overwhelmed by this pure sensation of just being alive and that's all that mattered. That just being alive was like almost the key to everything. It's just like, I'm here, and that's all that matters. And that's enough right now. And then I got my phone, and my first thing I started doing was taking pictures of this fucking wreck, because that was my first instinct. I'm like, no one's going to believe that I did this. And then this older couple are picking up all of my shit that's scattered everywhere from the car. And I'm like, excuse me, can you take a picture of me in front of my car? And they're like, what? And I'm like, there's a picture of me on my it's still on my Facebook now. It's like in front of my upside down Toyota Corolla, like smiling like this, like a fucking dope, with 2 thumbs up, looking at the camera, like, yeah. So that's the weird. That was ever since many weird things have happened to me in Perth, and that's But that started the journey of strange, at least on the way to Perth.
That's it could have went very bad for you.
It could have, but
That's a good advertisement for Toyota Corollas, though. They're Toyota, mate. They're built.
Mate, they're fucking built like, yeah. Can't
Toyota
destroy those cunts.
Yeah, they I had a I think it was a '74 Toyota Corolla. Loved it.
Always
and then a
have
mate
Toyotas.
come in. I remember that mate said, "Can I borrow your car at a party? We're going to go get more piss." I went, "Yep," and I swear he drove it in a straight line to the pub. Because I come back looking like it had been in like Vietnamese War or something like that. It looked like it had been hit by an IED. I did. It looked like one of those Iraq bombs that you see like off the side of the road. The ones that get hit by IEDs and they're just...
Yeah.
Oh, I was munted. Well, how did you... What? And there's a side. He goes, "Oh, no, I'll pay you back for it." I think he gave me $100.
For Corolla parts, mate, they're pretty cheap as well. Bloody, back in the day. Sorted you out.
Thank you, Luke Thompson. Yeah. What about so when you got over here to Perth, you obviously went off and you went to Whopper. And that would have been probably the start of the friendship circle you started making. When did you get into? Because the stuff that you were playing was kind of very rocky, especially with the Silent Deeds and.
Yeah.
And hang on, there was a band after that, wasn't there?
No, the Silent Deeds came after, but the Transnational Crash.
That's when I first met
That
you
was
with
when,
those
yeah.
guys, yeah.
And no, that's me and a guy, Chris Gardner, started that back in, I think it was 2013. I was living with a girl he was seeing, and he was like, "Hey, you do music? I do music. I've got lots of riffs. Let's start a thing." And yeah, we started, and yeah, had a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think where I saw
The transnational crash.
We
the
were
first
definitely
time.
on that 60-30 thing, but I think, like, because I remember we did perform at the 60-30, especially when we had the original lineup, because we did change members.
Well, that was the. This podcast actually is sponsored by the 60-30. They throw a bit of stuff our way occasionally, so I'll make sure you go out with either a T-shirt or something, if there's one around here.
Ooh.
But that was the original Spring It On that I put together to get something up this way.
Yeah.
And then we had one recently which went okay, but I think the next one will be okay too. It'll slowly grow and grow and grow. But I think that's when I first met you, was the transnational crash times. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first saw you perform.
I don't know if I was in the Deeds at that point, actually. Fuck, Tell the Shaman, St. James Sirens, all these guys. Cavalier, Jesus Christ. Yeah. So many bands, yeah.
So many bands have been and gone.
Yep.
Okay, so their Applebite's still about. Blackjack was one I was in. It's now not there. Black Parade's gone.
St. James
Ascending
Sirens.
Fall's gone.
Yeah.
Two for Flinching still around. Fight the Morning's gone. These Winter Nights
They're still going.
still kicking on occasionally. Mountains on Pluto I don't think are around. Tell the Shaman are still doing stuff, I think.
No, they're done.
They're done.
Yeah.
St. James Sirens are still kicking, I think.
Yep.
Big Jack, well, we only play over twice a year anyway. You're talking about jazz. The Big Jack is a band that I play in with Peter Anzullo and a few others. Mason Valos out of These Winter Nights. We're just all sort of handpicked from other bands. We made a rule never to rehearse. Pete and I, we built the music, made the music,
Yeah.
and we went, that's the music we play in a set. Don't ever worry about rehearsing. We get together just to play, and we just base it around what we know that's on that thing, so we can get creative with it, come in with a different flavour on the day. We don't know till we're playing it, and it's unreal. We love it.
Wow,
So,
man,
yeah.
that would be exciting.
I think you've seen us play.
I think I have, yeah.
I think it was at Rosemount. You may have seen us play
Many
down there.
moons ago.
Yeah, Enemy Mines, I think they're not together anymore. Actually, I think they might be. Killmeister, they just had a big blow up and they're not together. Matt Cal, I think that might be. He's still around. It's pretty hard when you're a soloist and you're not together anymore.
Yeah. That's
It's like, hey, I'm a soloist. All right, is the band still
personality.
together? No, we split up.
I mentally became fractured.
Yeah. So you're a bassist or you're a guitarist?
I'm a vocalist.
Yeah, but you play
Actually.
quite well as well. So
I mean, my guitar skills are very underwhelming. And even my bass skills are pretty fucking underwhelming. It was just the Deeds. I played bass in the Deeds because I was mates with the lead singer, and he was just like, he wanted someone that was like that he was comfortable with in the band, and I auditioned for it, not owning a bass. And he's like, you should just audition. I was like, I don't own a bass, like whatever. And like, just do it. So I got the bass. I got my bassist, James Hume's bass in the Transnational Crash, which is a right-handed bass, and I auditioned for the band upside down and played all of the riffs and the bass notes bass lines upside down, which is what I still do now when I play bass. I've got a bass that I've literally I play it upside down because I'm a lefty.
yeah.
So yeah, but I don't know, jack of all trades, master of none. But I'm a front man. Like, even playing bass in the band, I threw myself around like a front man anyway. You know.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of frontman being free, not tied down by an instrument sometimes.
And that's one of the things I've got to, I guess, put more practice in with King Proteus once we take it on stage, because
Is there only 3 of you in that band or 4?
there's 4.
Yep.
Yeah, there's 4, and I play a fair bit of guitar in it. So it has required a lot of me, because also the bassist Dario Giratano, he's heavily into composing, and so he'll compose a lot of it, and he'll be like, I want you to do this on guitar, which I invited him to do. I'm like, I want you to challenge me because I know that he can. I'm like, I want you to challenge me with musically speaking. So he'll give me he's like, I want you to do this odd guitar chord into this one, and I'm like, oh, okay, not bar chords here, mate. So
Yeah.
that, and even with vocals and that kind of stuff, he's always going, go for getting me to hit certain notes over certain chords challenge my ear a bit. So yeah, that's one of the things I also really enjoy about it is pushing myself
Ah, cool.
in that regard.
Yeah. I find that it depends on what band and what I'm doing. If I can't find a guitarist, I'll play bass. If I can't find a bassist, I'll play guitar. If I can't find a bassist, I'll sit on bass. But I'm very. It sort of sucks because when we get a bassist in, I know I've usually played bass or written all the songs, and in my head I've got these bass lines, and I guess even the drummer, like I find myself. No, that's not how it goes. No. And I've always been critical of people like that. I've played in bands where we've had the front men and that just be telling people, no, this is the way it's got to be. And then I'm starting to find myself do it lately, and I'm checking myself, just going, no, you got to let them, for people to be interested, you got to let them have that creative input, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're robots for you, and people aren't going to be into that. So
No, and that's the magic of when you bring people together is letting them letting that flavor come in. I think otherwise, yeah, if you become too controlling, you restrict the music itself, because music
Absolutely.
is something that you do that is done collectively. Unless you're one of those people that can play every fucking instrument and then you record it all and it's like, yeah, this is me doing all of the things. Like,
yeah.
that's more power to you and major respect, because it requires an intense amount of artistry.
I do it on some. I've got a couple of solo albums out, which I've done that, but I just don't enjoy the process as much.
Yeah.
I love the control because then it's exactly what I want to hear. And I do a lot of bluegrass. I got a bluegrass album out, country bluegrass, and it's it'll be kicky. Country bluegrass album out, and she's it's a different album, but I couldn't get players to play on it because can you name any good bluegrass players in Perth? Like,
yeah. Nah,
there's not a lot,
man.
you know. There's not a lot, so it was
Yeah.
like easy just to do it myself. But yeah, it's full on. Yeah, that's really interesting. So, well, I guess Trav, we've got to bring this beautiful conversation to an end. I've learnt so much about you, my friend.
Yeah,
You're a very
you
very
too,
multi-level,
Jai.
deep kind of dude. Well, I wanted to get into conspiracy theories, but we're going to have to save that for a future podcast, I think.
Sounds delightful, man.
And I'd love to hear a little bit more of the music as well. I was right into that. So for people at home and that are into it, check it out. The King Proteus.
King Proteus, yes.
Yeah.
Check it out. Facebook. Hopefully we'll get a gig sometime soon.
Yep.
Probably. Yeah, if you're hearing this, hopefully offer us a gig. We'll take it. We'll take a gig.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
make one. The 60/30 is always there if ever you need, just to get it out of your system.
Yeah.
That's what I say to people. It's a unique venue. It's always good to get the music out of your system. So, yeah, mate, awesome to have you here. Thanks for coming down. You've been a great guest. I've learned so much. And also, if anybody wants to be a guest on the podcast, by all means, come along down, spend some time here at the studio. We are going video. I'm trying to sort of keep up with the times of what everyone's doing these days, but trying to make the podcast become a little bit more popular, a little bit more legit. You never know, we may end up with T-shirts eventually, but mate, great chat. Before we go, just what's the plans? What's Trav doing in the next few months? Where you heading? What? Any news? Anything happening?
The only thing I'm going to be heading deeper into is myself, I would say, and learning and experiencing more about me on every level that I can.
Do you meditate?
Yeah, I do. I guess you could say. I used to do it strictly, but now my life has become pretty meditative.
Yep.
So I don't feel the need.
So you've just relaxed. You're just really relaxed.
I feel into every moment as best as I can, and follow the responses as they come up. Yeah.
Awesome to hear. Well, once again, you're with Travis Brinnand from now the King Proteus, ex-Transnational Crash, the Transnational Crash,
Yeah.
and Silent Deeds, mate. Great chatting to you.
Thanks, Jai.
Welcome back anytime. And, mate, we look forward to hearing your music a lot more. Actually, let's hear one more of your songs to take us out. One of the three. So we've got the one that wasn't about women. Now give me the one that's all about the ladies.
This is the one. This song is legitimately inspired. It's called Lion. And this song is... the woman who inspired this song also inspired the band name King Proteus. She knows who she is. I think she's up this way, up south. And this is a riff that came up because she brought out the lion in me.
Interesting. Let's listen to the song. All right. Travis Brinnand from the Transnational Crest, now the King Proteus. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Jai.
This is Stax Podcast. Get your ass on it. Soon we've got coming up. Still trying to get the guy himself on it. We're looking forward to seeing soon. Hopefully, Mr. Rob Powdrill, ex-welterweight champion of Australia boxing and also held quite a few titles in kickboxing. So we're trying to get him in here ASAP. But the next podcast coming up, I do believe, is Azza and Swaney from the band Blind Spot, who have got some new stuff coming out. So stay tuned. They're coming up next with some punk stuff and maybe even a sneak preview of what's coming up with their new EP, which is about to be released. So come on back down to Stax Podcast. Once again, if you are a band and you want to get in and just talk shit, or you just want to get something off your chest and have a good old yarn, to us here at Stax Podcast. We do have our website. We do have our Facebook page, Stax with Jodiga at Facebook. We also have a SoundCloud account. You can go in there. We're on iTunes. We're on Podbean. We're on most podcast providers. So make sure you do it. If not, jdig@hotmail.com or blueboneentertainment@outlook.com. Send us something and we can get you in on the show. Promote your band, promote what you do, promote your sport, whatever it is you're into. If you've got a story to tell, come on Stax Podcast. Cheers, bro.
Thanks, man.
And we're out.
Lions are mostly active at night, seldom during the day. The darkness its friend and foe to its prey. In hunger the lion knows its true nature, wild, fearless, and dangerous. As appetite unleashes, so does the lion. Once the lion's prey is within its sights, escape is futile. These hunger pains growl and groan, famished feeling, needing, feeding deep and down to my bone. Desire to fill the hole, emptier than December when I let the last one go. Now a choir of desire begins to sing me ever high. Passions burn into a fire and my eyes glow by light of full moon night. Between dusk and dark I move. My wild side comes alive, I'm ready to strike. Whet my appetite for you. Said yeah, you make a lion out of me. Just grows and flows, an addiction of affliction from the friction in our souls. Your pleasure is what I store. Your affection was protection from connections I don't know. Eat you harder than a cannibal. Sexually we're flammable, becoming more like animals, and we let go in untamed primal modes. Between dusk and dark I move. My wild side comes alive, I'm ready to strike. Whet my appetite for you. Said yeah, you make a life.
Play the music.